Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Margaret, and this is the Boboleros podcast. And on this podcast, we talk primarily about knitting, but also about inspiration from the world of fashion, fine arts, and random drippings from the brain pans. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy fall, y'all. And it's been really suddenly in the Northeast, temperatures have gotten crisper. The weather has been very fall-like, kind of moody days, cloudy, very good for knitting kind of vibes. Good for reading, good for, cozy, which we love as knitters, right? So it's all good. So on this episode, I'd like to bring you up to date on my latest works in progress. I have a lot of finished objects to share, some design inspiration, and also my prep for Cake Palooza, which I cannot believe is less than 3 weeks away, October 20th. And if you're not familiar, it's during the Rhinebeck Sheep and Wool Festival weekend on the Friday beforehand in Saugerties. And I am so excited to be there as a brand, as a designer, as a yarn dyer, and to be alongside truly some of my heroes from the knitting world. I mean, there are so many great artists there. So I'm truly humbled, and it's really a dream come true, honestly. And so I'd like to just share some of the things that I've been working on with the collection that I am debuting in just a very short time, the Breakfast at Tiffany's collection. So we'll get into that as well. So let's begin. Oh my gosh. I forgot to mention that there is a giveaway coming with the Breakfast at Tiffany's launch, which is happening this week. So here's what you need to know. Sign up to the newsletter to know exactly when it launches, because there's always a private sale for people that subscribe. So you'll be the first to have in on the collection. And I just want to say, as a thank you to all that have really supported Boboleros in this almost year anniversary, I want to offer a very special giveaway prize, which is a kit for the bubble wrap. So I am wearing the bubble wrap right here, and this is a 1-color wrap and 3 colors you can choose from. So if you win, you just have to answer the question, which I have to formulate in my head right now. I think I got the question. Okay, answer the question. What is your favorite fashion or artistically inspiring movie? You know, like that when you saw this movie, it really made an impact on the way you saw style, the way you saw the world. You know, if you're like of the ilk of style and fashion, that would be the preferred trajectory of this question. But if you're more like, it changed my worldview and it was about, global warming or something like that, that's okay too. But since I live in La La Land, at least when Boboleros is concerned, let's just have some fun with it, okay? So here we go. So which movie has inspired you artistically or in style? Share it in the comments below. And then on the next podcast, I'm going to draw a winner. And then you'll let me know which of these 3 choices would you like for your own bubble wrap kit. And so that comes with the pattern as well. So here are the choices. Tiffany blue. You can choose Varjack Paul, which is a warm chocolatey brown, which these two are really in love with one another, by the way. Or the one that I am wearing right now, which is this orange called Audrey's Coat. Okay, so what movie inspired you artistically, creatively, or in terms of fashion? Drop it in the comments below. Let me know why if you want to. And I'm gonna draw a winner. And we get this party started. Woo! Oh my goodness. Well, I guess everything that I've been knitting has been in conjunction with the Breakfast at Tiffany's collection.
Don't you just love it?
Love what?
Tiffany's. I do believe love is found and departed. I'd marry you for your money in a minute. You marry me for my money?
In a minute.
If you're not familiar with the movie, it's a really iconic film from 1961. And I remember when I first saw it, my friend Liz in high school handed me a VHS tape. And we were both like insane movie buffs, like classic movie buffs. And so that's what we would do. We would just watch DVD, there was no DVDs then, it was VHS. And so like we would go between each other, like she would hand me a VHS tape. She's like, Marge, she would call me Marge. Marge, you got to see this film. You're going to really love it. It's with Henry Fonda. And then I would give her one of it. Liz, you're going to love this. It's with Rita Hayworth. And she's like amazing, and Gilda. And so we would go back and forth. We almost had like a little video club. It was really funny. And so one day she's like, Marge, did you ever see Breakfast at Tiffany's? And I said, no. And I had already seen Roman Holiday with Audrey, thanks to Liz introducing me to that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this just breathtaking. I became an instant Audrey Hepburn fan, to the point that I think I went to a store near my neighborhood. I was like 16 then. I dragged my mom there. Actually, she dragged me. We both were completely insane about this store called Daffy Dan's. Have you guys ever heard of Daffy Dan's? First it was called Daffy Dan's, and then it turned into Daffy's. And it was like this mecca of designer things that would probably be like right off the runway, or samples, or like from Europe. Sometimes the tags would be taken off. You had absolutely no idea what would come into Daffy's on a daily basis. Like on the daily, you could have anything from pieces from like Marc Jacobs, like not like the highest end, but occasionally like a Prada, Fendi. Like you just never knew what would come in. Donna Karan, like it was just the heyday. It was in the 80s, right? So I dragged her to Daffy's. I said, Mom, I want to look for a long black skirt, like the kind that Audrey wears in Roman Holiday. Well, so of course we find one, and I start walking around my neighborhood of Little Falls, New Jersey, wearing like a long black skirt and little ballet flats, and like channeling my inner Audrey. And then meanwhile, it's like the peak of summer. It's like 105 degrees. I'm in my long black skirt, and I was walking to my job, which was selling magazine subscriptions over the phone. Can you believe it? That was like my first job. Yeah. Anyway, so I would wear my Audrey skirt. I would walk like the 3 miles to downtown Little Falls. Very, very exciting happenings there. And I would try to cold call people on the phone and be like, hi, do you want to buy a magazine? Oh my gosh, flashback, too much information. I'm sorry to digress. Anyway, getting back to the real story. So Liz hands me Breakfast at Tiffany's. I watch it and I'm like obsessed with all the fashion, obsessed with the whole vibe, obsessed with everything. Like one of my favorite moments in the film is when Audrey, like initially, she's just getting out of bed. It's probably already late morning because the opening sequence starts with her like on Fifth Avenue peering through the wall, through the window of Tiffany. It seems to be like very early in the morning, like 5 a.m. There's no traffic on the street yet, and she's completely decked out in, you know, her party attire from the night before, which is epic, to say the least. Anyway, and so you have a picture like, where was she? What was she doing? So late? Why is she just getting out of a cab completely still in her night clothes at 5 a.m.? So that's like how the movie begins. Anyway, so there's one scene in the opening sequence where she's just getting out of bed and she has like a surprise visitor, and somehow she manages like within 3 minutes to go from, you know, I just got out of bed and I'm in my nightshirt to I'm completely glam and I'm ready for the day. Like it was an unbelievable transformation. So in any case, that's one of the things that I thought this collection is about transformation. How to go from, you know, really super comfortable, simple, and elevate an outfit if you so choose to. So there are a few designs that I've made in conjunction with that theme. And so let me show you some of the finished objects, some of the designs. So this is one of them, and this just like literally got off the needles this week. And so Audrey in Breakfast at Tiffany's wears a lot of black. In fact, we all know the little black dress. And so that concept of the little black dress was really epitomized in that movie. And the black dress came to represent this foundation that you can use to dress up, dress down. You always look pulled together, ready for any kind of occasion. And so you can dress it up with accessories. You can, you know, high heels if you want to. You can like dress it down with flats. You can like a little scarf, a little jacket, and always ready to go. Also, Coco Chanel was one of the first to also get us talking in that direction, like how to have pieces, because Coco Chanel was really at the whole era of transformation when it came to women's fashions, because in the late 1800s, women were still wearing the big skirts with a lot of like the foundational, uncomfortable kind of underclothes. And so her idea was to use the lines and simplicity of menswear and bring it into women's wear. And so when she created some of the classic pieces like the Chanel jacket, she was really saying, you know, how can we as women dress for these modern times in more simple, pared down ways, but still look feminine and still look classic. So I guess in a way I was channeling that spirit with this knit. So this is the Coco Bolero. It's a pattern which I designed back in the spring, and I did make one version of it, and it's using a thick yarn, and I use the Loopy Mango Merino number 5 for my first iteration. I wish I had it here. Hold on. Okay, I am back. All right, so this was my first iteration of the Coco Bolero, and I will try it on for you. And yeah, it's just a great kind of piece to put over anything simple. I just have it over jeans, and I wear this like in this exact way very often. And so it's fitted, and right now I have it in sizes small to large, just simply because I have not had the opportunity to get it tested for larger sizes, but it's fairly easy to do the math, and I give some instructions, how to measure your proportions, because it is a fitted garment, and so it's meant to like really hit, like for instance here you've got a little bit of a change that happens here. I wanted to give the impression of a very nice, almost a shoulder pad look to accentuate the shoulders. And yeah, actually the whole garment is knit in 17, and for the sleeves a 19. And I like that little bit of variation that gives. And then there is a double crocheted trim around in your main color. And so this is the Coco Bolero. So I then went on a quest, because ever since I started dyeing my own colors, I wanted to create a black that was not quite just a stark black. I wanted to create almost like a velvety eggplant. And that's what I had in my mind. And part of the issue I also had was I wanted to make another Coco Bolero, but I wasn't able to find the yarn base that I needed for this project, because it needs to be not only not heavier, but it needs to be like a chunky, bulky weight. And the gauge, like I forgot, like, I think it's like 10 stitches to 4 inches. So it was tough to find. And then I did find a base. I wanted to try the base out and see how I liked it. And it was quite a different style base than the Loopy Mango Merino number 5, which knit up great. Highly recommended for the Bolero. But this one was a little bit, it had more of a twisted ply to it. And so as a result, it holds the stitch in a tighter way. I would say that the Loopy Mango sometimes has tendency to drape a little bit more than this yarn base. So in any case, I wanted to try it out and see if this yarn base would be something that I would want to carry as part of the Boboleros line. And in essence, I say yes. I liked it. It was a great experience knitting with it. And let me just show you this color. So yeah, it's black, but you see, like, it's got a little bit of that mysterious, like, kind of eggplant, dark plum orchid color, but it reads as a black. But when you know, then you know, right? So let me move the mannequin. It's a little unseemly. Okay, so this is my newest version of the Bolero. So you might notice right off the bat that it's got a little bit different details than the other one does. And yes, and that was quite accidental. Okay, like this has way more of the trim and like a huge trim collar. Now, I didn't intend to do that, but I had to do some massive damage control. So I'm knitting, I had gotten as far as like the left front. I did the left front, perfect. Now I'm working on the right front. And it's just, once you get the pattern down, like you just memorize it super fast. So it's just a question of just, doing the pattern knitting. And so I put a book on tape on. And I have to, like, as an aside, in trying to like get into the vibe, I've always been a nut about fashion, but like I wanted to just drench myself in the fashion vibe. And so one of my favorite films early on about fashion was a documentary called Unzipped about Isaac Mizrahi. And I just absolutely loved that documentary. And I watched it a gazillion times because I did also have that one on VHS. I just watched it like all the time. And he is so brilliant. Like, he's so funny, and he has a point of view about every topic, from food to ballet to classical music to why orange is more mealy these days than it used to be when he was a kid, how to make the perfect apple tartine. He's got a whole YouTube channel now called Hello Isaac, which I've been binge watching. It's just so funny and great. He's such a personality. Anyway, so I decided to download his memoirs. I am the letters. Brilliant, right? Isaac Mizrahi, I am. That's, or am. It's so cool. Anyway, so I'm like totally engrossed. I'm laughing out loud. He comes up with such funny lines. Like, I guess it was, I was knitting and he was talking about how, you know, there was a secretary and she was, I don't know, like the way he describes her is like somewhat glamorous, somewhat dowdy, somewhat like, you know, like it was a mixture of hit and not like miss in terms of fashion and glamour. And so he was describing her and he called her, I think, like a poor man's Ava Gardner. And at that point, I just started laughing so hard. I don't know why. I just found that so funny. In any case, I messed up my count badly. And what happened was, on this side, I did not go far enough, and I didn't catch that mistake until now I'm on the trim. And I'm like, how come it's lopsided? How come one side is longer than the other side? And that's when I realized, OMG. I like completely lost the count. So now what to do? So I refused to rip back. I'm like, no, it's just not going to happen. But how to add length to kind of straighten it out, because literally it was like this. It was like, maybe I'm exaggerating. It was like this. It was ridiculous. So I decided to kind of like nip and tuck it using the crochet border, and by creating like an illusion. So what I did was, like, I just, instead of doing one row of double crochet, I started doing 2 rows to just like add length here. But it's, or maybe it was here on this side because this one's longer. I added length here, but I didn't add quite as much length here. And you actually can't really tell, but I was able to balance it out that way. Then, because I lost count, I kind of like also had an issue about this area up here. Like, the way it sat was wrong. And so I needed to lift it up, but I wasn't sure how. And so I just started to do more double crochet here, but I wanted to only lift it here, because not evenly, because then it would be drooping forward. So I'll just show you. And this is where, especially like with big yarn, you can afford to just experiment. And because every stitch means so much in terms of length and width and proportion, you can absolutely just see what you get. So I was really excited to learn that I can create a panel, a wedge, like a short row kind of styled wedge, to add lift without doing short rows, and just simply by doing double crochets. So if you notice, this is the front panel, and then when I go in here, it gets less. So that's how I was able to solve that problem. Isn't everything like boils down in knitting, music, you know, any kind of like artistic endeavor, cooking, almost anything actually beyond artistic, but it's like down to problem solving, like parenting. It's all problem solving. Oh my gosh. So yeah, here I kind of did a bit of the same thing, not quite as drastically because that side wasn't as problematic as this side. Whew. So because of this, I have like a different styled collar on this jacket, which is actually, I think it's pretty glam. I like it. It reminds me of sometimes those like stoles from the 60s. So at the end, it worked to my advantage, I think, because I was able to learn a new technique. I was able to elongate this collar. If you're interested in making the bolero using the Boboleros yarn, which by the way, that's intentional, because a bolero is two things that I am passionate about. I'm passionate about having like short little outerwear pieces that look glamorous, and you can knit those and they knit up quickly and they make a big impact. So that's one of the reasons why bolero is in the name. And the second reason is that a bolero is a love song. And so, yeah. So for Cake Palooza, on the subject of love song, I'm actually Alyssa from Cakewell, who runs the Cake Palooza. She asked me to bring my electronic keyboard and play some love songs. I might just do that. So if you're coming on the 20th, I shall serenade you. Okay, so that's it. I added a button. If you recall, a couple weeks ago, I talked about meeting this fantastic lady at the New Jersey Sheep and Wool who had a booth just devoted to vintage buttons, and I showed you my vintage button haul. And I knew that I would be using it. Somehow I had like in my head already imagined that the bolero would need a button. So I just bought like 100 buttons, but nevertheless, I ended up using one. But I did the technique, which is the technique she taught me. So that the bubble stays taut, you have to put another button in back. Did I say bubble? I meant button. So the button stays intact. You have to use another reinforcement button on the back. And so you're actually pulling the thread through two buttons rather than the wool itself only. You know what I mean? So yeah, so it's nice if you want to cinch this, you can. And I do like to cinch because I'm always cold. There you go. So I don't know. I really like it. I think it's just a real statement piece, and I like the classic look of the black and white, and it was something that I wanted to make for the longest time, and I'm so happy to have this available as part of the Breakfast at Tiffany's collection, because it is what Breakfast at Tiffany's means to me, which is elegant, stylish, a lot of graphics, a lot of black and white. So there you go. And this, again, you won't need to modify the pattern as drastically as I did. I only made that very, very, very massive error in calculation, and that was the only reason I had to like redo the collar and all that stuff. But that being said, if you find that like it doesn't, like you want something more at the collar, it doesn't take really that much more skill to do it. All you have to do is just keep going with the trim, the double crochet trim, add as much as you need to kind of provide the lift that you want or the fabric and the shaping that you want, and then you're done. Like, it's really that easy. So very good in terms of like confidence in shaping. And at the end of the day, one of the reasons we create our own garments is to shape them for our body type when we are knitting for ourselves. So, hey, win-win, right? Win-win. I will have, if you're interested in making this with the yarn that I am going to carry, it's going to be called the Lauren Base. And it is an extra bulky base. And I mean, by that, I mean, it's about less than 50 yards per 100 grams. So I ended up, because I needed so much black to rectify my mistake, I ended up using about 6 balls of it. I don't think you'll need as much. In any case, that will only be on like a special order, just because of the quantity that I would need to prepare of this, like the yarn quantities and stuff like that. So I will have some kits available for pre-order. It's not going to be available at Cakepalooza, but I'm going to bring the sample. So if you're there and you want to see it and try it on, you're welcome to. All right, so onwards. I love like an orange moment, especially in the fall. I think orange is one of those colors that's very big this fall. I heard that like a dark crimson red is very much in style for the fall. I heard Tassi talking about that, Tassi Studio. I loved that podcast, by the way. If you haven't seen it, Tassi Studio, beautiful podcast and so well researched about fashion and fall trends. And so one of the fall trends is like a deep red orange. And so I was really feeling that color. And there is in Breakfast at Tiffany's an iconic scene of Audrey wearing this perfect coat. It's an orange coat and it's absolute perfection. Absolute perfection. And so I wanted that color, and I also wanted to modernize, not modernize, because that coat she wears is like completely modern. You could wear it now and look completely like in style. However, I wanted to create a knit piece that would give that vibe. And so this is what I created. The Bubble Wrap 3.0. We've got the 1.0, which was the 4-color version, and it was knit up straight up. And then there was the Bubble Wrap 2.0, which was a 2-color version where the bubbles are defined, outlined by a contrasting color. And then at the top, there is a bit of a turtleneck. And so that is the 2.0. And now this is the 3.0. And it's 1 color and some slight decreasing on the top. So let me just put it on. I love this thing. I just absolutely love it. So you see how the fit is a little bit different. It like hits you right on the collarbone and it'll stay up, right, because of the decrease. And I have to say, it is so scrumptious in this yarn. It is the Boboleros Rita held single-stranded with also a strand of the Vivian mohair for that glow factor. And yeah, I mean, this is lovely. I did also add, again, I am such a sucker for trim and finish. I added a little bit of another like crochet trim. I just can't help myself, but I think it really finishes it nicely. So if you have bought, and I thank all the people that have supported the bubble wrap pattern since its launch in July, as part of the Barbie collection that I did. It has been so much fun to see the different kinds of wraps that people have been making and how people are customizing theirs and making, the ones with multicolor, making the straight ones, which is just like a plain, like not plain, but like straight shrug. And then those that have been opting to do a little bit of shaping and, play around with this. So yeah, so if you have the Barbie wrap pattern already, rest assured that the 3.0 version will be sent to you as part of like the suite, the Barbie bubble wrap suite of options that you have. Because again, like some of these classic pieces that we've been loving recently, like the Sunday shrug, the Saturday shrug, you can't have just one. Because once you start making one, you just see all the possibilities for more and more and more. So like this one is super, super nice. And I'll be showing you guys different styling options, especially like I did this photo shoot with Maia, my daughter. Like we went to New York and we were just shooting some of the samples for the Breakfast at Tiffany's collection, and it was just so fun to accessorize, like kind of just play around with clothes and on the atmosphere of like, the New York City brownstones and stuff. So we'll be like putting some of those pictures on Instagram and things, and hoping that you'll enjoy the vibe, because it's all about the vibe, right? So let me show you this combination. Like this is the Tiffany blue color, and this is part of the collection coming up. And like, can you imagine a bubble wrap in just this? Like, I so want that. And I cannot decide whether to do just one color or to do the contrast. So this is Tiffany blue and this is Varjack Paul. Yeah, if you know Breakfast at Tiffany's, you know Varjack Paul. Anyway, it just has all the chocolate tea vibes. So I was thinking maybe a 2-color Barbie wrap or even Sunday shrug with these two. This is like killer. And I will have kits for this surprise, spoiler alert, this week, okay? Doing a little bit of a pre-launch of the of the Breakfast at Tiffany's. I'm into the bees. Bubble wrap, breakfast, yeah, bees. Anyway, as part of the pre-launch, and if you're not on the newsletter and you're interested in this, please get on the newsletter, because the newsletter will know first when it launches live, and there are always some goodies that newsletter subscribers get. Yeah, so this week I will just have a little bit of inventory on this. So it's really going to be first come, first serve, because I want to like already get this out into the world of fun, because I mean, come on, it's time. This is also going to be available, and this is the yarn combo that I used. And so for mine, I used, I think it was three of the Rita Bulky, and you just need one of these. So yeah, it really flies off the needles, and yeah, super, super fun. So that is that. Okay, next. You probably saw this. I finished this a couple weeks ago. This was just in conjunction with the New Jersey Sheep and Wool. And this is to go with all your Barbie bubble wrap stuff. We have a cute little hat with a matching cowl. And I mean, this is so fast and so easy, and it takes only one skein of each color to get both the cowl and the hat. And yeah, I didn't use any mohair for this version. It was just the straight up Rita bulky, and it's warm. Like, this would be so cute. Like, if you really want to do the black and white, this would even be great. Like, the Leslie kit is the black and white kit. So if you want to do, oh, great. Oh my goodness. Getting caught on all the earrings and paraphernalia. Okay, so like, this would be like a whole look. I have to try this on. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we got the black and white on black and white. Like, why not? Why not? Why not? Why not have some black and white vibes? Yeah. So this is going to be available. I'm bringing a lot of kits to Cake Palooza, hat kits. There'll be some sock kits. There'll be some, Barbie bubble wrap kits, which you can also, if you'd rather make like a shrug with it, you can definitely use the same base for that. Yeah, so we got our like bubble stuff going on, and accessorizing, because I have to take this off. It's just too hot. It's just too hot. So because you could definitely find a haul from the double crochet edge that will like house a button if you choose to put it on. So it's not like you have to make like special buttonholes or anything like that. You just go. I like this. It's a little bit like a varsity jacket feel. I have to take this off. It's too hot. I'm putting the bubble wrap back on in orange, and like just some looks, because why not, right? So like a little tote cannot go wrong. This is such a great thing to have when you travel. Put your laptop in there, you put your knitting in there, you put your books. It's like so stylish. I love this. So yeah, I had to get a few accessories in as well with the breakfast at Tiffany's, because I just want to honor the spirit of the creation in that movie, because it was so life-changing for so many, and for the world of fashion too. So I just wanted to honor it with pieces that I feel like just engage with that spirit of creativity, of timelessness, of elegance, style, and fun, because this is really like fun. How cute is that blue with the orange? I never even saw that before, but it's so cute. A little clutch, just to have for a little evening out. See, so cute, beautifully lined. These are all made in Europe, designed in Sweden, and these are ikat. So it's got this wonderful, almost velvety feel to it, and those tassels really shimmer and sing. So very good price point as well. So the clutch, some of the clutches do have a little gold chain to them. Some of them don't. So this doesn't, but some do. And this is really fabulous if you're, like a crossbody situation. Can't go wrong with that, right? Or double up the thing and have that. It's like, again, it's really, really channeling Chanel, really, but without the Chanel price tag, of course. Did I ever tell you that my husband, when he worked at Chanel, they would have once or twice a year the employee warehouse sale, and they could bring friends and family to that. Oh my God. So I would just wait and wait and wait, and I'd be hounding him all the time. Is it time yet? Is it time yet? He's like, no, no. And then finally, the sale is coming up on Thursday. So we're going back in time now to like, this was about 2006, right? So, or 2007, something like that. So the sale comes, and it's like an afternoon where they have, like, you cannot even imagine what they have in this warehouse sale. Bags, Chanel bags. I don't know if they still do this. My husband left Chanel years ago, but at the time, oh my God, bags, clothes, shoes, makeup, accessories, jewelry. And, you know, I was like on a real tight budget because we were like, our kids were so small and everything. I just opened a business. I had a school for music and everything. But nevertheless, you can't pass up when a Chanel bag that's usually like $10,000 is there waiting for you for $200. Like, you just cannot pass that up, right? So anyway, this is a bit of a long story. So if you want to fast forward to the continuation of the knitting, do so. But this is interesting. Like, you got to hear the outcome of this. So anyway, I score 3 Chanel bags. 2 of them were pink, which I thought, what am I going to do with a pink Chanel bag? Which at the time was a little narrow-minded, but nevertheless, I was like, I'm looking for a black quilted bag. But guess what? I did find a black quilted bag. So I had all 3 in my possession, and the only one that I really tried to use was the black quilted one because it was so classic. And anyway, so then things happened in my life. Like, my youngest daughter had a terrible accident, and you know, my whole life changed by really a miracle. By a miracle, she was healed. And this is Maia we're talking about. So you guys know Maia. But like, at one time in her life, she had gotten, she was very rambunctious 2-year-old at that time. And she pulled down a pot of boiling water from the stove when I just turned my head to pick up the phone. She did that, and her entire body from the chin down to her knees was covered in 2nd and 3rd degree burns. She was rushed to St. Barnabas Hospital, where they were treating the firefighters from 9/11. And we were given the prognosis that either she would go to intense ketosis because of her age and the severity of the burns and the amount that she had all over her body, and potentially die, or that, you know, if she made it through, she would be scarred for life, and that these would be very puckered because of the intensity again of the burns and the fact that they were all over. And I couldn't believe how life could just change on a dime like that. It was so overwhelming. And people, I was kind of new to this area at the time. I was living in New York before that, and I really had a hard time leaving the city. I didn't want to. I really loved everything about the city and the lifestyle there, and I felt very much alone here, and I felt like I didn't belong. And then people just came out from all over the place to make us feel supported, bringing food to us, cards, toys for Maia, like the outpouring of love from the community just was so overwhelming. And then prayer. A friend of mine started prayer chains of people praying all over New Jersey for my little daughter. And I was not at that time a person that was necessarily a prayerful person at all. In fact, I was very emotionally and spiritually bankrupt at the time. So I had really lost faith. And when I saw the outpouring of love and the prayers and things, and well, a miracle happened. I could only say it's a miracle because even the doctors were completely stumped, because they were assuring us, my husband and I, that Maia would have to have skin grafts and have skin taken from one part of her body and, pieced together on the skin that was so burned and everything. But none of that happened. We were released from the hospital not 3 months later, as they told us, but only 1 week later. And she had to wear a compression garment, and there was like a protocol which we had to do daily to keep the skin moisturized and things. But within 6 months, those scars had healed so well. Within less than a year, when we took her to the doctor for a checkup, she asked, like, which of your children had the burn accident? Because I can't tell. That was the completeness of the healing. And I didn't know if this is common or not. And so I asked doctors, and I went back to the hospital, and I said, is this common? Like, that the skin completely heals, like that there's no scar? Because I heard there'd be like always scarring. And they said, this is completely supernatural. So at that point, I had to take inventory of my life and realize, like, what are the things that are important, and what are the things that are superficial, and what are the things that are just meant to maybe Beethoven had a good line. He said, when he thought about like facing the world as a deaf composer, and he really wanted to end his life at that point, and then he had this turning point, and because to live as a deaf composer in the early 1800s would mean essentially being isolated and humiliated. And so he said, I make a choice to not live for myself, but to live for others. And in a way, I kind of had to recalibrate where my priorities were. In any case, back to the Chanel handbags. There was a couple that we knew. So at this point, like, there are like 4 of us women, and we all are friends, and we're sending our kids to the same preschool. And the pastor in that preschool, I wasn't like going to their church or anything like that, but the guy was so nice. And he, during Maia's time in the hospital, like, there was this horrifically rainy Saturday, and he had little kids of his own, and he drives to the hospital, and he's like knocking on the door of Maia's room. And I said, what are you doing here? Pastor Jeff? And he said, I'm here to pray. I said, but you're not even allowed in here. This is like intensive care. And he goes, that's okay, I could pray through the door. And I was so stunned. I said, why would you drive like 40 minutes in the rain to come and pray for my daughter? We don't belong to your church. We're essentially strangers. The only connection we have is that we go to your preschool. Like, why would you do this? Like, to me, it was insane. But he said, I'll never forget what he said, that's what people do for each other when you're in God's family. And I said, what? That blew my mind. So fast forward, now this guy, Pastor Jeff, and his wife, they're about to celebrate their 10th anniversary. And so I'm with my 4 friends, and one of them says, I was talking to Jeff's wife, and she said that she would love to go to Costa Rica. They both really want to go for their 10th anniversary, but like they just can't pull the money together to do that. So the four of us had this brilliant idea. Brilliant at the time, but in execution, extremely difficult and sloppy. We said, why don't we try to raise the money that it takes to get them on this trip to Costa Rica? And so we figured that the amount we'd have to raise was $5,000. And we thought it would be easy. So we thought like we would just go and ask all the parents to maybe contribute $20 or so, whatever they felt like. And like, like we would be able to pull the money together. So it was so hard. And it was like the middle of February. And I think we got as high as like $2,000 and we still needed $3,000. And like we were really freaking out. And one of the girls said, maybe I should have a garage sale. But it was really a cold February. I said, who's going to go to a garage sale in like in the middle of February? I did a concert to raise money, but still it was like we were now still short $2,000. And then I remembered those Chanel handbags. And I said, what if we sell the Chanel handbags? So we brought them to a great consignment store. That's if you guys are ever in the Short Hills, New Jersey area, Double Take. So they've been around a long time. So I bring these pink Chanel bags thinking nobody's going to want a pink Chanel bag. I bring them to the consignment store and I said, do you think you could sell these? And she's like, I'm pretty sure I can. And so I left them with her. And like the deal was that it would be a 50-50 split. Anyway, so I get back and sort of, days go by and we're just like really scraping the bottom of the barrel. We're so depressed. We're like, we wanted to send this couple on this trip. They so deserve it. And we just cannot get the money together. And what's going to happen? We're like despondent as all that. Suddenly the phone rings and it's Double Take. And they said, do you want to come to the store? We have a $2,000 check for you. Can you believe it? So that was the fate of those pink Chanel bags. And I'm so happy, actually, like about that. And as for the fate of the black quilted one, that's another story along the same vein for another day. But in any case, so you can still have the fun. That's what I say for a fraction. Okay, so what's on my needles these days? A couple of things. So you guys probably remember this sweater that has been on my needles forever, since the summertime. And this is the fancy sweater by Lamb & Kid with modifications made by me. I am almost done. I actually was able to finish the body and make the ribbing. And I will tell you about my successes with the ribbing in a second. I think the collar is just a little bit more of a funnel neck. I don't know. Yeah, it's just a little wider than usual, which I like. So that was non-intentional, but welcomed. I added stripes, but only a bit. And this is all my hand-dyed yarn. And this is like a base, which is the Hetty Boucle held with a strand of the Betty alpaca, which produces a very lovely drape and loft. And the yellow is just one strand of the Vivian mohair, which is a DK brushed mohair. And this is a color called Sunshine. And this is from the Barbie collection. So this is Glitter Beach. And the alpaca is perfume pretty. It's like a very soft pink. I might still be doing kits just for this, although the Barbie collection is now archived, so to speak. But I might be bringing it back to make a couple of kits, maybe for cake. Yeah, so it's great. I am now on Sleeve Island, which I don't know. Now I'm looking at it. Maybe I should just make short sleeves, but I know myself, if it's short sleeve, I'm not going to wear it because I'm always cold. So I was successful finally, because you guys know my trials and tribulations with binding off too tight. And what I did was, after making the rib on, this is all knit on an 8. I did the ribbing on a 6, but then for the bind off, I used a stretchy bind off. I don't think it's Jenny's stretchy bind off. If you search on YouTube, stretchy bind off, it's one of the first videos, and it's so easy because you basically you knit 2 and then you knit those 2 together, and that's it gives some really nice elasticity. And I also went back up to an 8 for just the bind off, and it's so simple to just switch to a larger needle size. So I'm so grateful to you viewers who told me that, because I was neglecting that step. So that's on my needles, and that'll be off my needles very soon. And something that I started last night. Okay, so you guys know I am a huge fan of Caddy Jacks, and I love all the shrug patterns that Jackie Rose created. And Jackie came out with the Soho square pattern last week, and it's so cool, just so cool. And even though I will say, my shawl mojo is not very high, I usually peter out, and I have tried the half and half triangle wrap, but I did I did try that a couple years ago. I think I was less patient then. I think I'm more patient now. I think I've been through more in life in the past few years that has made me a little bit more patient. And so, what seemed like an eternal knit, the half and half, now I'm more open to it. But what I really appreciate about Jackie's Soho square pattern is that she gives 3 sizes, and one is the wink, which is very it's really cute. It's a little scarf, like a Sophie shawl, like a Sophie scarf kind of thing. I like this shape a lot. Square, 2 triangles making a square. And then the scarf version, which is I think 36 inches square, and then the shawl version, which I think is more 48 or something like that. So I chose to do the medium one, which is the shawl. So I just cast it on last night, and so it's the one that you have to cast on 150 stitches for. So this is as far as I've gotten so far. There's so much good video support, and I'm already starting to see how Jackie calls it, the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is coming together. Very, very good. And so, yeah, I'm doing this on my own fingering alpaca base, the Betty alpaca. And it's very similar, if not, I think the content of the silk and the alpaca is very similar to the birdie, which is used in the samples. So let me show you my colors, because the thing about the Soho square is the colors. And so I decided to pull from the Breakfast at Tiffany's collection to celebrate that, and to have a knit that commemorates the vibe of this collection. So let me show you. So I am holding the alpaca double, and that's just a personal preference. just because I didn't want too much of a gauzy see-through. I saw that on the videos that you could see through this, the gauziness of it. And I think that's lovely. But again, I run cold and I like things a little thicker and a little squishier. And yeah, I wanted it more lofty. So I am holding it double. And these are my colors. So there are two main colors, and so I'm just going with the classic black and white. Do you see a theme? Yeah. So this is the classic white, cream, and this is that kind of, again, that velvet LBD, I'm calling this one, which is like that. Velvet LBD. So these are my two main colors, and the contrasts, of course, Tiffany and Audrey's jacket. Now, it's actually a little brighter, Audrey's jacket, than this orange. I'm still playing around, like, because these are just samples, so this isn't released to the public yet, but this is a little bit more like pumpkin orange, and this is a little bit brighter orange. And I haven't resolved yet in my mind like which one to go with as my final color for the Audrey's coat. So to be honest, I think I'm gonna go with this one rather than this one, unless you prefer the more pumpkin-y orange. And if so, if you want a kit, mention that and I can easily dye that up for you. But I think this is more the color. It's so hard. Like, as I was watching the movie, you know, you watch it on computer monitors and you try to assess. And so, like, I watched it on my TV, I watched it on my computer, I watched it on my phone, and I got 3 different oranges. And I'm like, which is the real orange? And then I consulted a book and I saw that it was actually more like this orange, like a brighter orange that she was wearing. But I had already knit this and I had already dyed that color. So again, subtle difference, but I think the bright one will be the one that actually makes it to the collection. But if you prefer this, just let me know if you're ordering a kit and I will make it happen for you. So yeah, so these are my 4 colors and I think they're fabulous. Don't you? I like this. You know, Jackie says you gotta lay your colors on top and see how they communicate. I think they're communicating well, right? I hear you speaking. Are you saying something? Yes? Yes, you're happy? Okay, good. You're happy, I'm happy. All right, that's it. So, kits. I will have this as a kit available. I will have this as a kit available. And this would make a great Sunday shrug. Just saying. Anyway, and kits for this too. So, launching this week, the Breakfast at Tiffany collection. And one last thing, there's gonna be accessories like up the wazoo. We're gonna have bags. We have jewelry. I'm wearing some of the jewelry right now. We are going to have Breakfast at Tiffany stitch markers. We're going to have hat kits. We are going to have, oh my gosh, wait till you see the lipstick, what do you call it? Like, we're having candles and lipstick lighters to light the candles with. I mean, it's over the top. We're gonna have a spa themed set. That's all I'm saying, okay? Candles, look at this. Do you know that opening scene when Audrey is in front of Tiffany's at the window and she's got her croissant in the bag because she just came from the New York deli and she has her to-go cup? Well, this is a New York to-go cup, except it's porcelain. We don't play around. We don't play around. We're gonna do it. We're gonna go big, or we're gonna go home. We're gonna go breakfast, or we're gonna go home. That's it. So anyway, stay tuned for all the goodies, because I know not everyone can make it to cake. So I want to bring the fun to you as well through the online goodies and good times. So things to come this week. Yeah, more styling stuff, more kits, and I'll show you all the colors. There are a lot of speckled for this collection as well. And you have not seen Boboleros speckled because that's not been on my radar screen, but I have made a few colors that I'm very happy to share with you and to talk about the inspiration for. And hopefully there's going to be something for everybody's taste, you know, like moody colors, fun colors, autumnal colors, more brights and pops and stuff. So, you know, my hope is just to bring colors that bring you joy, that make you feel loved, right? That's the theme of the movie at the end, is love, right? Like to open yourself to love. And that's it. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me today, and give the people in your life a lot of love in this week. I send you a ton of love and joy and wonderful, cozy knitting time. I'd love to know what's on your needles. And yeah, so thanks so much for joining me today. Okay, bye.